What is good? Join us. Thank you for joining us on Peaches and Power Bombs. I am Sarah Hirsch. Up on one corner's my friend and podcast host Tina Miller, and on the other side is our third Peach friend, mentor, all the above, cool guy, Tom Clark.
What's up? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
You said cool guy. That's a big introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that
he's
or not.
pretty cool, guys. Yeah, he really is.
And our New Japan expert for tonight too.
Yes.
I balk at the word expert, but I will do what I can to bring conversation to the table.
Well, compared to us, or at least me, who knew like one person on the whole card from New Japan, you're an expert.
It was a fun show. I can't wait to get into it.
I know. It was great. And I didn't like the build to the pay-per-view very much, as we all know, because I kind of went on a rant last week, I believe. And yeah. But I was pleasantly surprised. I actually liked it better than Double or Nothing. And my husband and I had a really great time watching it.
That's what matters.
Yep. All right. We got some people in the house saying hello. Shane saying hey. And Ron, of course.
Hey, Ron. How are you doing?
All right, guys. So you all ready to get into this thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go. All right. First of all, they have to bring out the best first, right?
Yeah, of course they do.
Talking about Jericho, right?
Oh, yeah.
The wizard, yeah.
He's a wizard. He's funny.
Oh, you got a problem with that, nerd? I'll throw a fireball in your face because I'm a wizard.
Man, I've created two monsters here. Let me just tell you. I take full brunt of the blame and responsibility for what you people just saw. It's all on me. So.
And partly on Sarah, because that was her idea to make it. She was like, hey, Tina, you have to make I'm a wizard. But we have Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I'm saying his names right. My husband was trying to teach me how to say their names right last night, and I was failing miserably. So this was a good opener. I really like this match. Of course, I never like it when Eddie loses, but I knew what they were doing, so I guess I was okay-ish with it. But it was a really good match. I thought this was a great way to open the show. So what did y'all guys think?
Yeah, I enjoyed this match a lot too. Me and you were texting each other during this match, and we're like, Minoru Suzuki's on our boo list. He's picking Eddie apart.
Yeah.
But with that being said, to me, Eddie Kingston's toughness is just bar none. I mean, he's up for anything. He doesn't care, This was right up his alley. And I didn't know this, too. My nephew was telling me that Umino is Red Shoe's son. Mm-hmm. Red Shoes is the legendary referee for New Japan. So I think they highlighted his beginnings too, like during a show. I guess they had a show in the past and they highlighted something, but I thought that was really cool. And one of my other notes is Wheeler Yuta is starting to become one of my favorites. He really is. He's totally winning me over.
Wheeler's very good. I enjoyed everyone's work in this match. I thought everybody brought it. Kingston's intensity is, as always, off the charts. Him and Minoru Suzuki squaring up is the stuff that dreams are made of, kids. I mean, there's a reason why the fans were anticipating that, because they couldn't wait to see it. It's imagine Suzuki squaring up with Lesnar. It's kind of the same thing, where it's like, you can't move this guy. Good luck. They were fantastic. And to your point about Shota Umino, he during Mox's first trip to Japan, Uno was just a young boy, and he was still getting the gear and coming out and then having young boy matches with the black trunks and the black boots.
Okay, yeah.
And he crossed paths with Moxley, and Moxley renamed him Shooter Umino. And next thing you know, Shota starts wearing a black jacket. That's why he came out and did the Mox pose with his back
got
to the
you.
camera.
Okay.
So I would kind of like to see him play into it, but he looked like a young Tanahashi out there. And that's high praise. But that kid is so good. And just think about how young he is and how many years he has in front of him. It's scary. We've not even talked about how good he's going to be. We're not even there yet. We're not even there yet. But
yeah, this was my first encounter.
He's very good. Sarah, I'm with you. I've enjoyed Wheeler since his time in Ring of Honor, and he fits into the BCC.
He 100%. Really does. Yes.
Big time. And, not for nothing, I didn't see, because, you hear this criticism about some of the veterans sometimes, and I thought Jericho more than held his own, and he took all those Germans from Yuta. And
he really did.
$10 says it was his idea. Like, people don't give him enough credit for the work he's willing to do to help the guys around him, because he will put people over. And people have this in their head that, putting over means they lose. No, it doesn't. Putting over means that you're giving more in the match than maybe you would give ordinarily, right? That's part of putting someone over. And Wheeler looked great against him. It doesn't matter that he didn't pin him. That really doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, Chris did his part in this match for sure.
Right. This match was just fun from beginning to end, and Shota Umino really impressed me a whole lot. I thought he had a great showing. Everybody had a great showing in this match, and there wasn't a whole lot of shenanigans going on the outside with the people that might have not have been involved with the Jericho Society or Eddie Kingston's little buddies. They kind of stayed away and just let the match be the match, and I really appreciated that didn't happen. So.
I was kind of hoping somebody would hit Ty Conti with the bat, but that didn't happen. I like Ty Conti, don't get me wrong, but her and Sammy just anyway. But this was such a fun match. I agree. And that's a big opportunity for Umino as well. You got all these established names. You got Jericho and Suzuki in there, and Rising Stars and Sammy G and Wheeler Yuta. I mean, you had the best of both worlds, literally.
And honestly, for Shota especially, he is a rookie in one of the best technically wrestled pro wrestling companies on the planet. It's not like he came from the National Guard Armory somewhere. No disrespect to the indie circuit. You guys know what I mean, but he didn't. He came from, just like the old, I always compare New Japan to the Crockett territory, because you have to be able to go. If you can't go, they don't have much use for you. He's proven he can hang. And now he comes to the States, and I'm not saying he's going to work people below the talent of New Japan guys, but if he happens to, he'll be fine, because he's learned at that level, and now he can take what he's learned and translate it to every other company he works for. So he's going to be in great shape.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we got some comments. John saying, Forbidden Door has been excellent. I still have the last couple to watch, and I didn't watch any of the buy-in. And
the buy-in was actually really good. It had like 4 matches on there.
Okay. I didn't get to catch the buy-in, so that's why I didn't add it onto our list. But
no problem.
And Shane is saying, Tom, wait till they bring a hot garbage button. Now we don't steal people's buttons around here, so we'll let him keep that. That's for the main event. So
we'll find something just as epic, I'm sure.
John, and
they don't steal people's gimmicks, Shane. So
yeah. John is saying that he enjoyed Yuta in that match, and Shane is asking, Tina, where does AEW go with Eddie Kingston after the Jericho feud is over? Well, I have my speculations. I don't know if they're actually going to do it or not. I guess it just depends on how long CM Punk is going to be out, because if you caught the end of the main event, Claudio was not the only person that Eddie Kingston was yelling at. He was also yelling at Jon Moxley as well. And there was a little bit of a brief moment of tension, not a whole lot, but just that little flavor to the story that them two might not be exactly on the same page. And they also announced earlier in the evening that they are going to be doing a special edition of Dynamite. I forgot what the name of it is, but it will be in Queens, New York. So I was just like, okay, if Punk is still out in September, will we get a match for the title between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston at that show? And if it is, I will be looking at plane tickets and seeing how much it costs.
I'm sure we'll get there at the end of this. Not to cut you off, I'm sure we'll get there at the end of this thing. But
yeah,
it looks as though that was real. That wasn't a work. It wasn't planned. That he was legit upset. And I'm thinking,
oh, okay.
Eddie's been in this for a long time. At some point, I love Eddie. Be professional. It's not the time or place. And you could tell by the look on John. John was smiling. Like John had this look like, come on. This is
okay. Like, I didn't know if it was
now. Yeah, I don't know, but it felt real to me. If it's not, it's fine. If they wasn't real, it did a great job. I'm not sure what the point of it is, because he didn't stare down Claudio and get in his face. So that makes me think it's not real. But Eddie's hot-tempered, and none of us knows what happened. But from 1,000-foot distance, I'm thinking, well, we could have been a little bit more professional than that. If there's a problem, you take it up behind the curtain, not on camera. That could have waited. It just felt like the worst time to have a problem with somebody, to me.
I think too, backstage talk is that Kingston and Claudio don't get along, so you got that too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. In the meantime, if anybody wants to set up a GoFundMe for Tina's trip to Queens,
yes, have at it. I will need all the help I can get with how bad
Same
prices
here.
and things are.
Peaches and Power Bombs wants to go to Arthur Ashe Stadium. Please help them.
That's for sure. Okay. This next match was a winner-take-all of the Ring of Honor and the IWGP Tag Team Championships with Roppongi Vice versus United Empire versus FTR. Is Dax legitimately hurt in this? Is that because I didn't read up any of the follow-up, so I wasn't sure. And he was using the arm when he came back out all taped up, so I wasn't sure if it was a worked spot or if it was legit or not. So
I haven't heard anything.
Neither have I. I don't know. I mean, if he was hurt enough to leave, you would think that they would have advised him to not go back. But at the same time, he's a pro. And I can tell you for sure that one of the worst things you could actually do, unless you've just got a limb dangling off, right? But one of the worst things you could do is stop. Because what happens is if you're so into it, your adrenaline's pumping, you don't really feel anything. If you stop and get cold and then try to go back to a match, it's so much harder to get back into it. Like you got to keep your rhythm up and keep yourself fired up. So part of me says he's hurt. The other part of me says, no, he's fine. But I mean, honestly, if he ends up hurt, I mean, we're not going to be surprised because FTR seems to have, every time you turn around, there seems to be something working against these guys, which is nothing they've done wrong. But it's like, man, don't let anybody be hurt now. They're on such a roll. And this match was, man, once again, the first two matches out the gate on the main card blew the doors off. This match blew the doors off. Everybody in this match was top notch, man, top notch.
While Dax was out, Cash was just a straight up trooper through that match. That just shows his tenacity and, of course, their toughness as well. Everybody knows how amazing FTR is, and it just goes to show you, Dax had to be taken out of the equation for a little bit, but Cash held his own. He did a very good job.
Yeah, it was still a great match, and it didn't seem to, if it was legitimate, it didn't seem to take away from it at all. The pace was still really good, and they still did a really good job. And it might have been one of my favorite matches of the night. So,
and the right team won, but I actually had Roppongi Vice picked to win. And I enjoy all three teams, especially FTR. But I just kept thinking they were kind of the underdog team to win this to me. And Rocky is such a selfless performer. He does so much work behind the scenes to help to get things over, to coordinate. He's much more than an in-ring talent. He has been for a lot of years. And it would be cool to see him get the nod, if only for a month or two, with Beretta. It's okay that it didn't happen, but that was actually who I had picked to win this. But again, the right team won.
Apparently, the referee thought they were going to win too. He had messed up that 3 count.
Yeah, and the crowd, I know you get into it in the heat of the moment and everything, but the crowd, come on, kids. I mean, I think we all know that this is predetermined, folks. Let's try to get a grip here. I mean, I don't know. The ref's going to do what he's told more often than not. I don't think in all these years, I don't think I've ever seen a referee go into business for himself. Let's try to remember that, folks. Mistakes happen. Let's try to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, FTR. Yeah, I agree. Right team won. They're so good, so consistent.
Yeah,
flawless. I just love them.
Ray is in the house. You miss me. Oh, Adam Cole is king.
Ray all day.
Have you seen that video with him asking Cole the question? That's freaking great.
No. What question?
Ray, dude, I think, didn't you get on BTE with that, Ray? Because that's awesome. He was backstage at the big, like at the press conference, whatever it was, like the fan rally, and he got to stand up and ask Adam Cole a question. It got over with Adam Cole pretty well. And Ray, you kept your composure. I'm so proud of you.
Did he ask one of the if you had chicken soup questions?
It's a wasted opportunity. Dang!
Oh my God!
I would have loved to have seen that.
We're waiting.
Right.
We're waiting, Ray.
Yeah.
Patiently waiting.
Tom, you got me saying Ray all day now.
Ray all day. I nickname all my fans. I said my fans if they're my fans. You know what I mean? I nickname the fans that watch my show. So.
Well, just for Ray, we'll play it.
Did you do your own Adam Cole baby button? No, shut up. Wow. That's awesome.
She did it just for Ray, too.
Fine. I'll allow it.
Okay, he says he's sending the video, so we can't wait to see that.
Yes, that's gonna be awesome.
All right.
Oh, and before we jump to this, one more thing, if I can close on the last match, is I love that we're now talking about FTR as quite possibly the best team in the business in the world, and they've been saying it for years. And I love that we didn't say at the moment they got to AEW, they didn't put crowns on their heads and say, here's the guys, here's the guys, here's the guys. It got to this point until we can now all comfortably say, these are the guys. Versus what a lot of other people want to say about ex-WWE. That didn't happen here. They earned their stripes. They beat the teams put in front of them. They took their losses when they had to. They kept their mouth shut. They were always professional. And now we're talking about them being among the best, among the elite in the world. They did it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And they got over organically with the crowd and not just.
Did you hear that?
I've been a huge FTR, fan since ever, because I know Daniel Cash from back when he used to run the Indies. His dad used to own Anarchy, I believe, and that was in where the Landmark Arena is in Cornelia, Georgia. That used to show the Wild Side, the NWA Wild Side. That's where that used to be at. And Anarchy was just kind of what became of that after what's his face had to fold. But anyway, his dad owned that, and he wrestled there pretty frequently, and I got to get to know him a little bit, not like really, really know him or anything, but just a little bit. And he's a good guy. And, you know, I've been a fan of his forever. So just seeing where he started from and now it's like he's amazing. So
Cash is an HVW original, actually.
yeah.
Because back then he was Stephen the Fever Walters. So
Yeah.
he's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're definitely the epitome of a classic tag team. No doubt.
Okay, moving on to the Atlantic Championship final with Pac versus Miro versus Malachi Black versus Clark Connors. This was a really good match too.
Yes, it was. The good matches just didn't stop.
3 for 3. It's a shame it wasn't Ishii. This might have been the match of the night had it been for Ishii not being
Clark
injured.
Connors, though, he held his own.
I said on socials that day before the show went live, Clark was going to hold his own. Everybody get ready, because I've been watching this guy for a while, and he picked it. They let him have his spots. They came late in the match when they should have. It never felt forced. It never felt like, who's this guy? By the time he started getting spots in, the crowd was on their feet cheering for him.
Yes.
The timing was impeccable. I mean, Clark can go, man. He can flat out go. And everybody in this match, I'm happy for Pac if this is what he wants. Again, I think the right guy won. Malachi Black does not need a belt. And you could have gave it to him if you want to, and you still could, whatever. He doesn't need it. Miro doesn't necessarily need one. Pac, I think for as long as he's been there since day one, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, it's time. And whether or not he feels that way, how do we know? But from a fan perspective, it's cool to see him get something. So I'm happy for the guy. I think it's cool.
I agree with you. He deserved that win. Everybody in this match was amazing. Clark Connors impressed me. Like you said, it was, it wasn't forced or anything like that. It was a tall order for him going against these guys, and all of them very well established in their own right. And I mean, he held his own against them, so that was impressive. And everybody had strong offense from start to finish too. And there was a little bit of tension there between Malachi and Miro at one point during the match. So will we see something with that later on? Who knows?
I really want to see him and Malachi have a feud now, because, man, when they squared up, it was awesome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Tina?
This match was great, and I liked how it really didn't matter who would win. You would be happy with whoever it was. I like that part of it, where you can just sit back and you can enjoy something.
Right.
Like you're supposed to. You know? Especially when you do something like this with you have a podcast or you write or you do something or you're on social media or whatever, you're always like scrutinizing everything. And that gets so old sometimes. I get tired of doing that. Let's just sit back and enjoy wrestling, people. So I'm glad that this gave me a good opportunity to really do that. So
yeah,
I was happy with Pac winning. I think he deserved it, especially with all the garbage that he's been having to go through the past couple years and how hard it's been for him to come, travel in and everything like that. And he's been there since day one. He deserved this big time. So happy for him. Happy for everybody in this match.
Oh, yeah. And if Clark had won it, nobody would have cared. It would have been fine. Nobody would have been upset. They could have said whatever they wanted to the next day, as everyone typically does. But in the moment, that place would have went nuts had he somehow got the pin. And I was reminded of the match when Santino was in Elimination Chamber that year. And, of course, we all knew this is ridiculous. But then he got in there, got going. And you could feel the crowd. You could feel, and on your couch at home, you could feel it. And you're like, oh, my God, what if they put him over? And then it just kept on and kept on and kept. Yeah. And then they cut his legs out. But I'm like, at the moment, they did such a good job of reeling you in, just like they did with Clark here. And yeah, I mean, that to me is a sign of a good match when you're okay with no matter who wins, no matter how invested you may be into one person, because everyone's doing their part. And look, we talk about this all the time. Your job as a pro wrestler is to make your opponent look better than he could look with anybody else. That's your
Mhm.
job. And if everybody goes in the ring with the same idea in mind, the whole show gets over, not just you. So I'm sorry, but I think that's what we saw in every match on this card. I didn't see one guy or girl go in there selfish. It's all about me. I personally didn't see that.
No, no.
Into, Clark Connors and then Shota Umino, both guys I didn't really know. They left a lasting impression on me. I didn't forget about them the next day. So it's kind of so that just lets you know what an amazing job that they did.
Now, I kind of had a feeling that Clark wasn't going to win just because it was supposed to have been Ishii in the match and everything. But I think it would have been interesting had it been Ishii and they did like make a surprise almost and put the title on him. And that would have changed the whole show after that, because everyone was going into this thinking the AEW guys was going to win everything. And they kind of did. And I thought that would have been like a big shock factor. I would have found the rest of the night interesting, being like, okay, so the New Japan guys actually have a shot at some of these titles. That would be surprising. So
yeah, it would have been a much different match. The pace would not have been as fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know how familiar you two are with Ishii, but I don't know how he could still be this good 10 years after the fact, and he physically hasn't changed a bit. Ishii can work everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Another good thing about maybe not every talent in Japan, but a lot of those guys are very versatile and can work anybody. Ishii could work with anybody on the card, in my estimation, and give them a great match. It doesn't have to be a super heavyweight or a cruiserweight. It can be either or, every size in between. It would have been a much different match, but I'll bet you it still would have been great at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Cherie Baker is saying, so glad Pac finally won a title. It's been since 2017 since his last run. And Shane says, after watching this match, I want Miro to face Wardlow.
That would be good. Ooh.
And
Great idea, Shane. Great idea.
Ray says that Tom looks 14.
Always. I'm good.
Haven't aged today, Tom.
Hey, he knows what's up. He knows. So.
The Bullet Club versus the Dudes with Attitudes. Goofy name.
I love that you put it up there. It's WCW throwback. It's great.
Yeah.
Or Diesel and Shawn Michaels. They called themselves Dudes with Attitudes.
Did they really? How come
yes.
I remember that?
They did. Two Dudes with Attitudes.
Yeah, it was Sting and Luger and Paulendorf and somebody else. It was like a big tag match, I think it was. That's where they got it from.
Okay, that's cool.
This match was a lot better than I expected. I really liked the opening with Sting. That was pretty good.
I like the opening with Sting.
Sting is not on the senior tour, kids. That's not what Sting's doing. If anyone thought that's what it was, we were all dead wrong. Sting's like, hey, I'll jump off that. I mean, what? Like, now you want to do this? I mean, he pulls his own. I'd be shocked to ever hear anyone say, I had to carry that Sting guy. Stop. He does his own. He pulls his own and then some. I mean, the guy's, he could sit back right now with all the money he has in the bank, likely, and just be comfortable probably for the rest of his life. He loves the business too much. And people can look at me and say, oh, Tom, it's a payday. Shut up. If he can get a payday but contribute, let the man contribute. I don't think nobody watching this show, hopefully, thinks that he's just making easy money. Have you seen him work in that company? This ain't easy money for this guy. He's earning his keep. I love this match.
Yeah. I like how they try to outsmart each other throughout the entire match as well.
Very good.
But yeah, way, way better than I expected. I enjoyed it.
And as a New Japan guy, Shingo giving the LIJ fist to Sting, I was at home going, oh my God, like it's the best thing ever. To me, that was such a cool thing. because for anybody in LIJ to do the fist to anybody, that is a sign of respect for them, for their little stable in Japan. And the only thing that could have made the night cooler was if Shingo had come out painted up as well. I was kind of hoping he would. It's okay that he didn't. But I'm glad that if anybody didn't know who Takagi is, they know now. Because what you got was a glimpse of just how good that guy is. He's so good. And I'm sure that Sting and Darby were both impressed with him. They should have been. He's so good. But this match was very fun to watch. And we're 4 for 4 now, right? Isn't this the fourth one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Good stuff.
This was my least favorite match on the card.
This
Really?
one?
How come?
I didn't like it.
No?
It was goofy.
It had its moment.
It's not always a bad thing. It was just not my kind of goofy. I'm just, the more the Young Bucks are on TV, the less I like them.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
To
Unless
each
they're,
his own.
yeah, they're just,
The Young Bucks isn't for everybody. They get a little bit obnoxious, I think. They're okay by me because nephew loves them.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they remembered him. He used to met him a couple of times, and they remembered him. So I'm like, okay, y'all are cool in my book.
Yeah.
A little rambunctious, but it's okay.
When they create memorable moments for the babies, it's hard to dislike them.
Yeah.
I remember when we first took Bria to a show, and she's 14 now, but I think she was like 7 at the time. And we kept telling her that it was right after they did the brand split for the first time in a while. And we told her, hey, John Cena's not going to be at the show because he's on Raw and he's on SmackDown. We're going to Raw. So there's a good chance he won't be there. But after the show, he was in that main event, the dark main event. And she froze and her eyes got this big. And she was just like, so just that cute little face and that cute little moment. I can't dislike John Cena anymore because he gave her that moment. So you couldn't dislike John Cena anyway. It's kind of hard to. So, but anyway.
Yeah, the Bucks are an acquired taste. I can see where you're coming from. What I like about them is that they can do whatever you need them to. They can be whatever you need them to be. If you need them to be the silly cornball heels, they can do that. If you need them to be the firing up babyface tag team reaching for the hot tag, they can do that. They can do it's like FTR. That's why they're so comparable in my opinion, because they can. It's like, what do you need to be tonight? We'll do it. I mean, that's the sign of a great tag team, is that they can not just do it, but make you feel it. Like even though you know this stuff may be set up. Spoiler alert, everybody. But the Bucks get so under your skin, you're like, God, you know what? I'm starting to really get pissed off about this. And even though you already know, but there's just something about it. God, I wish could you just stop for 2 seconds? That to me is a sign of someone that knows what they're doing. But I get what you're saying. It's maybe not for everybody, but that's where my respect level comes in for them, is that they can do just about anything.
Well, and I don't hate them. And I'm not like, you shouldn't like the Young Bucks. They're horrible. And you're a horrible person if you like the Young Bucks. That's totally not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying, I don't know. They just.
There are no Eddie Kingston.
What?
There are no Eddie Kingston. I'm just saying.
No. No, not even close.
And can we take a second to acknowledge the fact that Hikuleo looks more and more like Ming every day? Like, it's astonishing how much he looks like his dad.
Oh my God! Now that you say it,
he looks just like his dad. Like Tama and Tongaloa look like him as well, but Hikuleo really looks like Ming for sure. So, or Haku.
Yeah, he was a beautiful sight to look at. He really was. He's
I mean, funny that you'd say it that way, but physically he is not just physically, but psychology, just his facials. If you could go back and watch him 2-3 years ago in New Japan when he really had no clue even how to walk, man, him learning over the past few years has really done a lot for him. And you give it a couple more years, we're going to be talking about this guy in some very serious tones about this guy's a threat now. He's a legitimate threat.
He looks like he is really tall too.
He is tall, yeah.
Yeah, but he was very, very easy on the eyes. But you know me.
This was supposed to be an 8-man tag. So this was supposed to be an 8-man tag, and it turned out that Takahashi, he had a fever. Is that what the story was?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Shane says, Tom, I am going old school. Sting is the new Terry Funk of this generation.
I agree with that to an extent, Shane, but I also say that Sting is a lot more capable than Funk was when Funk was at this age. I mean, Funk's knees were shot to pieces by the time he was at this age, and Sting looks like he's still moving around fine. But I get what you're saying.
Cherie, I see your comment, and we talked about it earlier, and I'll bring it up again here when we get to the main event, okay? So just hold tight onto that comment. The next match was the AEW Women's Championship with Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm, and Thunder Rosa retaining the title. This was a good match.
I thought it was too short.
I thought so too.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
It was the shortest match on the card. I do know that.
I actually thought Tony might pull this out. It felt like that's where they were going with it. That it felt like they were setting it up at certain times. But then I will say this: for the majority of this match, it felt like Thunder had this in hand, and they didn't make her look like, 2 minutes in, she's already on the defensive and she might lose. It took a while to get there. But it felt like she had this match under control. And honestly, we see too many times, in my opinion, that it feels like the champs don't have it under control, especially babyface champs. Like, again, 2 minutes in, they're on the ropes and they're breathing hard. I'm like, aren't you had this belt for 6 months. How are you already? So they didn't make her feel that way. It felt like, I'm the champ. You have to beat me, which is how the championship matches should feel.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I can rewind a bit, when Tony faced Marina Shafir, that's Shafir's best match in AEW by far. She's never looked better, in my opinion, period, than she has against Toni Storm. So kudos to Tony. She's come a long way. But I hope this isn't the last we see of these two. I hope this isn't just a one and done and now Thunder Rosa moves on to the next opponent, because I like to see these two tangle again.
I felt like I was wanting more after that match, so perhaps you're on the right path there.
Do you notice that Tony Khan always books the women's matches to come out at the exact same time, no matter if it's on a pay-per-view or on Dynamite? They always come out at 9:30, always.
Really?
I didn't realize that.
Just about. I think they were a little bit later at Double or Nothing, but like almost every Dynamite, their matches are at 9:30, and they came out at 9:30. So I made a little joke about that.
And I feel like they placed this match right in the middle of the show, just like for the crowd to cool off, because, there was action nonstop, great moments nonstop. And it's like, oh yeah, don't forget about these two. That's how it felt to me. And that's no disrespect to them, because both of them are amazing. I just felt like, I was left wanting more. I was surprised it was short. With that being said, it was a good match. It really was. What the time they were given, it was a good match.
Yeah, I think it was perfectly timed, though, because especially if you see what's coming up next, if they were to follow any of these matches, they would have died instantly. So it's a good thing that they came out before the following matches. So
okay.
Yeah, give me a great 10-minute match versus a good 15-minute match any day. Where you can, any good film editor will tell you, don't be afraid to edit where you need to. Just because you're in love with it doesn't mean you can't trim the fat.
Right.
Do we have to do one more series of moves? We don't have to. Let's just take it home. And if it's enough and the crowd bites, that's all you need to do. And it felt like, to your point, they did what they needed to do. it was a good amount of time. Did it feel too short? Yeah, but I think it felt that way because we were into it, which is the best reason for it to feel that way. Yeah. And that hip attack in the corner, I mean, Toni Storm, you know, she hit you with that hip going in the corner. It looks like you got whiplash coming off that. It's looking great. So good, you know.
Cherie says that Rosa didn't look very strong in this match. I thought she looked fine.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think, again, I thought she felt like she was in control 2/3 into the match, and then Toni started getting. But Toni's got to get something. She can't just, you know, if she rolls over and plays dead and Thunder dominates from start to finish, kind of like, I don't know, Brock Lesnar matches, then at some point it feels like, then how'd this guy get a title shot? If he got beat in 5 minutes, then how did he get here? Maybe he had no business being in the ring. That's kind of where I am. So the fact that she didn't steamroller makes me think, well, Toni had a chance, and she almost got it.
I like it when Brock Lesnar steamrolls over people.
I know you're a fan. And this is a sidebar, but I didn't watch it. But when he came back again and got in Roman's face again, I thought, and listen, to the credit of that company, those fans eat that stuff up. They were going nuts in person, online the next week. And I'm at home looking at my socials going, I don't get it. I don't understand why. I mean, go with God, my friend, whatever. But for me, I can't believe they're this excited. We just saw this. Why do you care anymore? I don't know. That's just me.
Let's do this!
Now, I didn't expect that because where'd the soundbite come from? Where did Heyman saying that come from?
That wasn't Heyman. That was Brock.
Was that Brock saying that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that. Where'd it come from?
I don't know. I found it on a soundbite website, thought it was hilarious, downloaded it, and put it on a video. Yeah.
He thought it was Heyman.
I couldn't tell. I saw the picture of Heyman with him, and I thought, was it him?
God, that was funny.
I like Brock. I like Brock a lot. I do, and dude's getting paid. More power to him, and it's working for them. And as long as it's working to make money, who am I to judge? But from my perspective, I don't know. I'm sitting back. Again, I've said this to you two for 2 years. It seems like when you got 2 horses and that's all that pull your cart. When one of them gets hurt, now you're down a horse. What are you going to do now? So they have 2 horses. That's all they have. And that's fine till one of them gets hurt. Then they're in trouble. So, I don't know.
See, I'm not excited about the match itself. I just like seeing Brock back. So that's all it is for me. I'm like, I don't care if it's Roman 500 times. Brock is back. Yeah. So, plus I just like to tease Sarah about it. So that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else we got here? Ray saying the match was too short, but it was good. Also, Ray says WWE treated Storm like crap. Happy she found a great home.
I agree. Her Talk is Jericho interview was good.
Yeah, I saw her interview with Renee. That was good too. Shane says, Tina, I know who Jade's new baddie will be. It's Sarah.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, so this next match, Tom was very vocal about it on his social media. The United States Championship, Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. I was pleasantly surprised, okay, because like you say, Orange Cassidy is not supposed to be taken seriously, okay? He is a silly, fun-loving character, right? So you go into it thinking this is going to be just a fun, silly, not to be taken seriously match, right? Boy, was everybody wrong about that. Because he did not do he did his pockets thing and he tried to do the kicks, but Will Ospreay wouldn't let him do that. And they had a serious wrestling match, and it was fantastic.
I wasn't wrong. I was right about it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only.
Tom's
Hey,
like, yeah.
hey, I wasn't
great.
the only one. I wasn't the only one saying this stuff. I'm not like some mystic over here. I just and listen. You go back and watch any of my shows when AEW first hit. I was the guy raising his hand, talking about this Orange Cat. What's this nonsense? I eat my words. I will always be the first one to admit when I change my opinion and when I've, reformed an opinion on somebody. I've done it before. I did it with Candice Michelle in WWE. What's she doing? I'm getting tired of the twirling. She's a freaking joke. And guess what? She learned how to work and got very good. And I was the first one to say I was totally wrong. I eat my words, and I was wrong about Cassidy, 100%. And for a year now, I've been saying, don't sleep on this guy. He knows how to work. If you take it in the context of, think about every silly pro wrestling gimmick you've ever seen that got over, okay? And we all gave him a pass. We gave Mark Calloway a pass, but The Undertaker's cool. Go back and look at The Undertaker's first appearances and tell me it's cool. It was not cool. It was goofball. I'm sorry. But he made it work. And we all knew he could make it work because he could work. And the first time you saw him work, you went, oh, so he can rest. Oh, okay. Now you have my attention. Suddenly it was okay. His face was painted white and he was rolling his eyes and Paul Bearer was yelling with an urn. And suddenly that was okay. Once you know Cassidy can work, all the rest of it becomes that much easier to swallow. And it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt. That commentary is going, you guys know that Cassidy's playing mind games, right? Every time they say that, it plants the seed in the fan's head going, oh, I get it. Cassidy's messing with people. Because he is. So once you accept all that and then go back and revisit him, then it becomes a different pair of eyes, in my opinion. But I agree with you, Tina. This match was, and I said it would be one of the best matches of the night, and I had people disagree, and I don't really care. But it was one of the best matches of the night, in my opinion. I think.
And I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be as serious as it was. So I was very surprised and happy about that. There's one little thing that I would have changed, but it was kind of part of his gimmick, so I kind of let it go a little bit. I don't really like it when he tries to pin someone with his hands still in his pockets. That bothers me. But other than that, it was good. So, Sarah?
A week ago, I wouldn't have said this, but I think this was my favorite match of the night. I really enjoyed it. Both of y'all have very good points. Orange Cassidy knew he had a lot to prove against a talent like Will Ospreay. He had one job, and that was to prove that he belonged and there was somebody as well-rounded and talented as Will Ospreay, and he did. They got This Is Awesome chance. There was so many good sequences. Different kind of psychology was taken on to open the match. So Will Ospreay, we already know, can work with anybody. Like, he is one of those that when you hear his name, you already know, like, dude. But yeah, Orange Cassidy had a lot to go up against. The commentators were saying it was kind of controversial because, you say Orange Cassidy, huh? We were doing that. So, but I'm like you, Tom. I was just like, I knew he was good, but I didn't think this would be my favorite match of the night, and it ended up being my favorite match. It was, I very much enjoyed it. I was entertained from start to finish. Like I said, psychology all through the match. And it's like you said, you got to think about it. Oh, yeah, he's messing with them, like that irritates them because I'm like, really? When he does the little kicks or whatnot. But yeah, it was my favorite. I very, very much enjoyed it.
I mean, what's the saying about you don't measure a man by what he says about himself, but by what his friends say about what others say about him, something like that. If you have any doubts, if anybody has any doubts, go talk to the people that Orange has worked and ask them what they think. And when you hear the same story of everybody going, oh man, that was so much fun. He's so good. It's so easy to work with him. When you hear those stories, maybe give the guy a break. Maybe say, well, listen, if his opponents that I love and respect think he's great, maybe. And if you don't like him after that, it's personal taste, and I get it, it's all subjective. But at the same time, Arn's getting down on one knee and doing that Ospreay pose right in his face and then giving him the thumbs up. Perfect.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Perfect. And it fit so well. And it's, and for, again, to this thing, this idea of AEW does too much silly. All right. How many titles has he had? Okay. How many times has he been in the main event? Okay. How many times has he won a high profile match against a former world champion? He's not getting shoved down anybody's throats. They're not forcing a belt on him. They're not forcing him in the spotlight. They're not forcing anything. Give it a year from now, this guy wins a title, or maybe the title a year from now. You know how many people are going to have a problem with it? I just don't see it. I think by that point, they would have built it up to the level, in my opinion, at which people will go, you know what? I think I'm okay with this now. But they're not going to do anything until they can get to that point. And it's smart booking. They don't always do everything right. But if they play the cards right and they want him to be somebody with a title, he very well could be, because he's on the way, in my opinion, right now.
I like the whole thing, that the whole idea that he's just different. And sometimes that does stand out. Sometimes bad, other times good. He takes a whole different approach, and don't go over with some people. But in this case, I mean, it worked really, really well. It really did.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Naito earlier. When Naito first got over in Japan, and they gave him this whole heel LIJ thing, he was spitting on his opponents. And I don't mean you can't see it. Oh, did he spit? He flat out spit on his opponents. He threw titles down. He threw them down. He spit on the belts. He didn't care. And veterans were going, what does he think? This is terrible. Oh, it's disrespect. And then the fans started cheering for him, because he just became cool. And then suddenly Tetsuya Naito is the biggest pop in the locker room on the card. And it's like, I get it now. This was never about disrespect. This was about getting the gimmick over. And it worked to the degree that people couldn't even boo him anymore, because he got so popular. And they can't turn him heel now for anything. They try, but they can't, because people continue to love him. It's all about the work the guy puts into it. And Tina, you know this. If Dustin Runnels had not put everything of himself in the gold dust, it'd have been laughed off TV and never been seen again.
Mm-hmm.
But he put everything he had into it, to the point of we're like, man, I have to give it to this guy. This is great. This is groundbreaking, and he's awesome, and man, he can wrestle. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people forget that wrestling doesn't always have to be so serious and take it so straight down, There is a place for everything. Some silly I can take, and that I like, and some of it I don't. And he's entertaining. I don't always like it, but he's very entertaining, and I understand it, and kids love it. It's a lot of fun, and there's nothing wrong with having fun on a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
and people get upset. Well, especially when he was going up against Jericho, and all this kind of stuff. Why are they having a joke gimmick go up in the main events? Well, if you think back to when we were kids in the 80s, 90s, just think about all the silly stuff that they had the main event people doing. I mean, Kurt Angle was wearing a little tiny hat singing Jimmy Crack Corn, okay? And he was a main event talent, okay? So it has a place. It has a place. It doesn't always have to be, serious, I hate you type stuff. I like that kind of stuff too, but
I think AEW was the first company. I think AEW was the first company, to my memory, that came out and said wrestling is for everybody. Wrestling's for everybody. It doesn't have to be one thing. Kenny Omega said it, and I'm not the biggest Kenny Omega fan there is, but he's like, why can't wrestling be this? And why can't it also be this? And why can't it be this? And why can't it be this? Why does it have to be this? And everybody outside of that is dead wrong. No, it can be this and this and this. Let it be whatever it wants to be. And if it works for that audience and that building that night, that's what it needs to be that night. I think I've come around on my way of thinking a lot of this. I think I agree with that. If it's working for your crowd, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think AEW is perfect by any means.
No.
I think they have things to work on. and I don't like everything that they do, but at least you can tell that there is a genuine love for what they're doing and that they are giving an honest foot forward. And that's what I appreciate the most, is that you can tell that they are trying to do the best that they can. So that's why I usually pick them over going to WWE shows, just because number one, it's more enjoyable. Number two, you can tell that they're honest in their approach and what they bring to you. So
the energy is just so different too. It really is. If you've been to a WWE show versus an AEW show, been to both of those, I mean, there's a tremendous difference in terms of energy. And it's not bad. It's just a whole different perspective, I guess.
You're right, 100%. They're two different crowds. They really are.
Mm-hmm. This also saw the return of Shibata as well.
Oh, yes. I forgot to add that.
Man.
Did you hear that crowd when he came out?
Love Shibata. You kidding me? Love Shibata.
He returned from injury, didn't he?
He was basically, and do not quote me here because I don't want to get it wrong, but I think he was basically told, because he had, was it swelling on the brain, or there was something that happened, and he was told, if you wrestle again, this could be it. Like, you are done. He had X number of concussions. It was, from everything we had been told, it was serious, beyond serious. And I don't know what changed, and he's done very little physical activity since he started coming back. But again, I said the same thing with Edge when Edge came back, when Christian came back, when Shawn came back years ago. If he's happy, and Daniel Bryan, if he's happy, and the doctor signs off on it, the family's okay with it, who am I to tell him not to work? Let him go be happy. So as long as Shibata's healthy and he's okay, I'd love to see him back in the ring. But I do want him to be all right at the same time. But yeah, I love seeing him here, and he's in better shape now than he was when he was in his prime, for God's sake. It's crazy. So, I mean, they trust him. He's the trainer for the LA Dojo. He's the one responsible for getting guys like Clark Connors ready. I mean, Shibata is, I mean, he's the real deal, kids. He's the real deal. So you're right. I love seeing him here. It was great.
Ron says, I really don't like it when wrestlers are in the ring and spit. Outside the ring, still in a building, still not a fan of someone spitting. Outside, okay, whatever. In a bathroom, I get it, but in a ring, do better.
I mean, I respect that, but if it's part of the gimmick and everybody's okay with it, I don't see the issue with it. I get where you're coming from a respect level, but there's been a lot of things happening in the ring that seem disrespectful, but it goes along with a gimmick. But if you're talking about just offhanded, I'm clearing my throat kind of, but yeah, it's disgusting. You're right. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be really gross, especially if someone comes around right behind you and they wrestle with no shoes on. Ew.
I mean, the mat's dirty enough as it is. We don't need to make it any dirtier than what it is. So
right.
Okay, this next match is Alex's favorite: Zack Sabre Jr. versus Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah, this is his match of the year.
I have to pick on him.
Claudio he was fired up. I mean, we've seen people happy to be there before. Claudio it was so good to see him back. And I don't know how this happened. Like Shibata, how did Claudio get in better shape? I don't know how that happened. But he got in better shape somehow. And he fits into BCC like a hand in a glove. It's perfect fit for him. I can't wait to see what he does with those guys. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm glad he's landing on his feet. Zack Sabre it's stupid how good he is. I'm sure there's wrestlers sitting back envious of how good that kid, I call him kid, envious of how good he is. And he's always been like this. I mean, he's always been that good. Yeah. And man, I love this match, actually. I really enjoyed it.
I did too. Alex, my nephew he told me, he was like, Bryan Danielson promised me a technical masterpiece, and I didn't see it. Me and him have been fighting tooth and nail, arguing since Sunday about this. And like, even I was trying to explain the story in the approach to him. Prince Salty is just he is true Taurus.
Well,
stuck
he wanted
in his way.
Gargano, so he was just
That's
disappointed.
Mhm.
Number one, I do see his point a little bit. It wasn't like as technical as you think when you see Zack Sabre Jr. most of the time, but it was still really good. And
Mhm.
I was just happy to see Claudio. He just
Yeah.
seemed so genuinely happy to be there. So
He yeah, he said it wasn't a bad match. I told him, I said, you had high expectations and it wasn't what you were looking for. That's all what it was. Yeah, I think Claudio, the one big thing about him when he was Cesaro on WWE, he was a striker. I mean, everybody knew he was a great technical wrestler, but he was a great striker too. He was relying on his strength and his tenacity during this match. He came in with a whole different ball plan, game plans, so to speak. Let's see. I want to say this because this is what Taz said, and I told Alex. I said, listen to what he's saying. Taz said, not trying to go hold for hold with Zack Sabre Jr. That's smart. He's using his power and strength, simplistic, but the right way to go about it. So it's like I told Alex, I said, he's a new signee. You already know he's going to be part of the Blackpool Combat Club. He's got to come in, he's got to come in guns out, get the ball rolling, he don't want to be taken lightly, everybody knows his track record. So, that Taurus right there, we're going to be forever fighting about this match. This is our Claudio Castagnoli. Looked really good. Beautiful uppercuts, best uppercuts I see from somebody. One of them. But, gosh, I'm so happy for him.
He's very good. I'm glad he's found a home. I'm glad to see him back in the business. He fits in. And I've said this before on this show here, but again, Claudio is like, what you need me to do tonight? I can do that. And, where he has, and I know because I've written these columns about Claudio in the past when he was Cesaro, was he's missing something. It always felt like he was missing something. And usually it was a mouthpiece because he doesn't have an abundance of charisma and personality. But they have found a way to work with that over the years. He's found a way to work with that to the point now, does he need to be, Randy Savage? No, he doesn't. Does he need to be Steve Blackman? No. Can he just be himself and let his athleticism get him over? Yes, he can. And the fact that they put him over as being highly intelligent, but highly skilled at the same time, can speak 5 languages. We all knew this about him in the other company. But, they get started and make you go, hey, love him. Nah, he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, love him. Here, love him. Nah, he's done. To the point where you're like, I'm not going to fall for this anymore. You keep giving him to me, you yank him back, I'm done. But now I don't think you'll have to worry about that because he's finally got an opportunity to just be himself.
You said he fits the Blackpool Combat Club like a glove. I wholeheartedly agree because, this is already a strong faction. And, Claudio is more of a calm type of person. And you got somebody like William Regal leading the way. I mean, hello. I mean, this is just like, I didn't know I needed the Blackpool Combat Club in my life, but I really do. But yeah, you could tell Claudio, like you said, he was very happy to be there. You could tell it. You saw how he was reacting. He was like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. I met him when I was in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30. And such a super sweet guy, very, very calm demeanor. Just very soft spoken, well spoken. It's just a shame, WWE did what did him like they did, because he really is somebody that could represent a company very well. I mean, just his mannerisms, he wasn't a jerk to anybody. I mean, so I'm glad to see he feels at home, and hopefully we see a whole lot more from him. I'm sure we will. He's going to be in Blood and Guts Wednesday. He's going to bring that tough side out too. So
yeah.
Do you follow him on Instagram?
Yes.
He's it's either his account or a separate account where he does nothing but go to coffee shops whenever they're on the road. It's the coolest little account because it's just pictures of coffee.
It.
It's so awesome. Yeah. Claudio's, he calls it something.
Cafe, I think.
That's
Claudio's Cafe.
It's awesome.
That's
I
cool.
enjoy it.
He is a coffee guru, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, yes.
That's cool.
I would go out for coffee with him. I would. Like, heck yeah. Coffee is love. Coffee is life.
Tina, you're not as familiar with Zack Sabre. What'd you think about him here?
Actually, I am. I'm
Oh, are you?
very,
Okay,
very,
good.
yes.
Awesome.
I've actually seen Zack Sabre Jr. wrestle Martin Stone, also known as Danny Burch, in NXT, like 2 feet literally in front of me.
Wow.
Like I was at ringside.
Cool.
So
She showed that to Alex when he was on here earlier.
that is still my favorite match that I've ever seen in person.
nice.
It was absolutely amazing. It's probably the best match I've ever seen. It was
He and
great.
Danielson had a match years ago when Danielson was still shaving his head when he was in Ring of Honor. And I want to say it was in Ireland, but don't quote me. And they were in a very small building. And there were when I say kids, they were in their 20s, yelling the F word. And Danielson stopped in the match, turned around and yelled back at him and said, "What is wrong with you? There's kids sitting next to you. Knock it off." And
Yeah.
you could feel the vibe in the room suddenly change. And people started clapping like, "Yeah, shut up." Because they were just making fools of themselves. But you could hear it because it was such a small building. And I'm like, if you had enough reasons to like Danielson, now you have another one. It was such a class act. Such a classy move.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Zack Sabre Jr. And this match didn't disappoint. And I thought Claudio was actually more of a perfect fit in the bigger picture and long run than maybe some of the other suggestions that people might have had, like Gargano or anything. Because Claudio does have that history with some of the people that they're going against in Blood and Guts. So he makes perfect sense.
Yep.
All right, so we got some comments. Shane was hoping for Jonathan Gresham, even though he thought that Claudio did great.
Yeah, that was somebody that I thought about too, even though he's already made an AEW appearance. You never know. Hello.
Timothy's saying Okada, it's all I gotta say.
He's teeing it up for you, Tina. He just teed it up for you.
Yeah, we're getting there. Oh, Cherise says that him and Rollins have their own coffee brand.
No,
I didn't know that.
Oh, what is it? We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna buy some. Are you kidding me?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. When I can drink coffee again, I will definitely buy some. Probably still about a month or 2 away from being able to drink coffee again, but that's okay. I get closer and closer every day.
Good. Take it all away, but don't take away my coffee. For God's sake.
I haven't been able to drink coffee in 7 months.
Oh man.
I'll be dead by now. You kidding me?
All right.
It felt like death there for the first part of it, trust me. Okay, the IWGP World Championship, Jay White versus Adam Cole versus Hangman Page versus Okada. This was my first in real-time Okada match, and I was thrilled. And can I tell the story really quick?
Yes.
Okay.
It's your show, baby. Do it.
So we're sitting there. I don't know if I've said this before yet or not. So if not, if so, sorry, you'll have to listen to it again. We're sitting there watching this show last night. And Adam's kind of watching it and kind of not, like he always does. He's usually playing his video games when I'm watching wrestling and not paying attention to what's going on at all. And here comes Okada. And he pauses his game, which is huge. And he looks at the TV. His eyes get that big. And then he looks at me and he goes, "You didn't say Okada was wrestling tonight." And my face dropped. Like, you didn't tell you. I had no idea you even knew who Okada was. My husband, who doesn't watch wrestling hardly at all, even he knew who Okada was. So I don't want to know. I don't want to hear anybody's excuses about who's that. I'm just kidding. Adam watches a little bit of New Japan, and I had no idea until last night. So there you go. Now we're going to watch it together, and he's going to tell me who everyone is.
I'd say it's perfect. It's perfect. I mean, I didn't see that coming. Nobody did. It's I said on the main event last Friday, just because you, meaning whoever's watching right now, just because you don't know who somebody is, don't discount it. This idea of, well, I got the 411 on ratings, and shut up. I'm so tired of hearing people claim to be experts. I'm really sick of it. It's okay if your opinions are different. Mine are different from the two ladies you see on the show today. It doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong. It doesn't mean they're right and I'm wrong. However, it doesn't matter. We all have different opinions, but to not give anything a shake, to just assume, well, this is not the brand that I hold dear, so it must be bad. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I don't know how anyone calls himself a wrestling fan, but hates a certain whatever. I don't get that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And don't ever speak for the majority, kids. Just because it's you doesn't mean it's we. All right, speak for yourself and don't speak for the rest of us. The people in that building on Wednesday know who Okada is and who he was on Sunday. Okada is, I've been saying this for 5 years or better, pound for pound, the best wrestler in the world. And we throw that word around a lot, don't we? In my opinion, best wrestler in the world. And if you, again, it's subjective, like who you want to like, but for this guy, to me, is poetry in motion. You get him in a one-on-one match and they're told you got 30 minutes. I defy anybody to just pick it apart. And if you don't like, whatever. But if you're going to pick it apart from a technical aspect, please know what you're talking about. There's people who don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the little things. And you guys know this, the devil's in the details. Don't worry about with the finisher. Don't worry about how much does he run. Don't worry about any of that stuff. What does he do in the meantime? He moves with such purpose. No wasted movement with Okada. It's important, kids. There's no wasted movement with the best. They don't have time to waste. They're not going to lose their breath on a stupid move. They're not going to take unnecessary risks. They're going to do what they do extremely well. They're going to allow you to do what you do extremely well. And I've seen him take scary bumps, to which I'm sitting there going, Gato must be in the locker room scared to death right now. There's your cash cow. What are you doing letting him taking that bump? But Okada's like, hey, let's go work. Let's go. Let's make it look good. And so he'll take those bumps where maybe he shouldn't. But he's so good, guys. It can't be said enough how amazing Okada is in the ring.
I want to make one comment, and then we will move to Sarah and let her talk. At one point, you didn't know who anybody was, and you had to keep watching the show and get to know them. So this is just like that. When AEW started, I didn't know who some of these people were, but I kept watching and I got to know them. So you have to continue to watch, and if you keep watching and you like them, then that's good. And if you watch them a couple times, said this isn't for me, and you stop and go back to whatever, that's great too. But just because you have to give them that chance is what I'm saying. All right, Sarah.
Oh, I love Okada. I agree with Tom. He is just poetry in motion. He's very fluid, smooth. I mean, he is just a ring general throughout. I mean, he could anything you want him to do, he pulls it off flawlessly. Seeing these 4 guys in the ring, but I love me some Jay White too. I love Jay White. To me, had all these four in the ring right before the bell run. It was such a special moment for me, and it was like, man, we don't deserve this. This is, I mean, this was absolutely special for me. I mean, you have everybody in this match can stand on their own. All of them has had their own accomplishments, their own journey to get to this moment. And it was just special just to see that. And it was like, man, whew, I love wrestling. So yeah, but yeah, these guys, all 4 of them did such an amazing job. I said Okada was very fluid and he was smooth. Yeah, this match exemplified that. Everybody was very fluid. Nothing was staccato or anything like that. Smooth. Everything just, this was probably my second favorite match. And Cole's super kick to Hangman when he was doing the moonsault. Oh my God. Pretty. So pretty. Jeez. This is such a good match. I can't say enough good things about it.
Poor Ray is having a breakdown in the comments.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
King Cole was robbed. He had to get hurt to lose. Horrible. Call 911. The King Cup winner should file a complaint.
Man, you could tell when that happened, too. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a concussion or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And you see after the match, I guess the ref didn't realize what was going on. You could see Jay White whisper in his ear, and then the ref kind of alerted whoever needed to be alerted. But
yeah, I thought the match ended weirdly, so that tells me that it probably didn't end the way it was supposed to, because the finish just looked so weird. So, but then when he was just laying there, you could tell that he was hurt and something had happened. So, best wishes to Adam Cole and hope he recovers.
Yeah. I guess right before the actual injury, I saw his legs give out. So it was kind of like he was kind of there almost, but whatever, I guess the strike or the fall or whatever, that's what kind of did it in. It was pretty intense. But yeah. But yeah, it was very good. I hate that it happened the way it did.
And, honestly, with these 4 guys, 4 of the best in the game today, by far. Mm-hmm. And I hope that at this point, whatever critics that Page still had have now been silenced, because he can hang with the best. And I think he proved that. And so hopefully people have let that little bit of nonsense go. He belongs in the conversation of the best in that company, for sure. And plus, the way they ended this, their storylines left dangling that they can continue with all 4 guys together, or 2-on-2, whatever that looks like. And, if it's a blow off to a feud, that's fine. This was not a blow off for anything. This was, at the end, you're already thinking in your head what this could lead to down the road, which is good.
Yep.
JR said too, with Okada, he can just make one big move and it sets things right. And he's right. Literally.
Best drop kick in the business. Among the many other things Okada can do well. I mean, his drop kick is pretty.
They don't call him the Rainmaker for nothing. I mean, he's a living example of making it rain. He really is.
He was backstage in the presser afterward, and somebody asked him about the language barrier, if it was an issue. And he just kind of laughed and through translation said, as long as I can say I'm going to make it rain, that's all I need to do. I was like, so good. So good.
Timothy says that Okada is the gold boy. He has the best smile in the world.
He really does.
He does.
He wears on you. I mean, he grows on you, and you just, you know what? Yeah, he's cute.
And
he's just amazing overall.
You can't shake him. He He never looks like he's frustrated. He never looks like he's out of sorts. He never looks irritated. He keeps a poker face through every match I've ever seen him in. I'm like, for a lot of guys, that takes some doing, because it's easy to lose your cool sometimes. Not that you take it out physically, but it's easy to see. You see people get frustrated, like, man, what is going on in here? He never loses his cool, and I respect that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was getting into that crowd too.
Oh,
last night. He was,
and it's got to be
eating
good
that
for the
up.
Japan guys. It's got to be good for the Japan guys, folks, because in Japan, they're still encouraging their fans not to yell and shout because of COVID. So they get to come over here and hear people go nuts. That's got to be awesome for them to get them their
Well,
adrenaline
they're a
pumping
little
and
bit
get
more
themselves
reserved
physically
as-
into it.
They're
a little
more
bit more
reserved in Japan
Okay.
too.
Well, they are for sure, but they're still being encouraged in that country and New Japan fans to not yell. They're still masked up, and they believe even with masks on that shouting and stuff could actually spread. And let them go with God and whatever they want to do with their protocols. But they're just encouraged to not. Now, without the mask and all that in place, yes, they're still reserved, but they will chant during matches. But they're not even chanting right now, so it's more quiet than usual.
Quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shane says that he's a Adam Page fan, but he hasn't been right since he drove that stupid sports car with the horns on it. Cowboys trap trucks. Okay. Timothy said, Tina, I was like you when AEW started. I didn't know who Sammy Guevara or MJF or Darby Allin or Jungle Boy were, but that didn't stop me from watching. Yep. And Sarah Visick says, easily match of the night was Osprey versus Orange Cassidy.
From Buckle Bomb Entertainment, good to see you.
Okay, let's see what else we got.
And to be fair, Shane, Cowboys ride horses. They don't drive trucks.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
I'm just saying.
That's real cowboy shit right there.
Can we work blue here on this show? No one told me that.
She throws one in every now and then. We try to keep it under wraps, though, because my 9-year-old nephew does watch the show. So, yeah. But he knows what the ugly words are and that he's not supposed to repeat them. So, last but not least, the AEW Interim Championship with Jon Moxley versus Tanahashi. It's a good match. I thought it was unnecessary for Moxley to bleed in this, but other than that, that's the only but that's just a little silly critique that doesn't really matter much. So that's just a personal preference. But it's Moxley, and he's like, can I bleed? That's his first question. So
yeah,
I let it go. It was a good match, though.
You know, Mox did his homework here. He was ready. Yeah. He stayed ready. He had control of the majority of the match. You know, he was ready to go. You know, and that's no disrespect to Tanahashi whatsoever, because Tanahashi did get his moves in and whatnot. But yeah, Mox definitely did his homework in this. He was right. He was good. He told Tanahashi, "You're gonna end up calling me Ace by the time this is over and done with." Mox came in, did what he had to do, and I agree. It was a good match. I would have liked to have seen more from Tanahashi, but for what it was good.
In any other instance, I would have said, I feel bad for these guys having to follow all these great matches, but it's Mox and it's Tana, and they can follow anybody because they're Mox and Tana. Having said that, did it have the oomph it could have had it been the semi-main? Probably not. But Tana's a living legend, and Mox is, if he stays at a certain level, one day we may be calling Mox a living legend. I don't know what that looks like. But Tana's a living legend right now. And Tana, you can tell the wear and tear is on the knees. You can tell it's on his back. I don't think he's lost a step, but maybe half step perhaps. But he's still great. And, you know, let's face it, he paved the way for Okada. When JR talked about Tana bringing NJPW back from the dead, he's not kidding, kids. That company was in serious trouble. But Tana caught fire, and people couldn't get enough of him. And it's like, we have to see him. Suddenly they went from not being able to sell out an arena to selling out arenas all over Japan because they couldn't get enough of the ace. They loved him. So he's, I won't say solely responsible, but JR is right. He takes a big bulk of the credit for bringing that company back from life support. Him and Mox was good. I really enjoyed the match. Am I going to say it was my favorite of the night? I won't say that, but I won't say it's not. I was bothered by the end, and I know they got to prep for blood and guts. That run-in was unnecessary, and the crowd did not care for it at all. The stare down with Tana and John took like 20 minutes because they just kept standing there. And I just imagine John saying to Tana, I guess we're standing here for a while, dude. This is taking forever, because they kept trying to get over this to get the stare down over with the people. But, you know, I wish none of that had happened. And back to the Kingston stuff. Again, I don't have any inside deets here for you, but if that's real, get over yourself, dude. Come on. There's a time and place for this in front of the fans when you're supposed to be a baby face with other baby faces is not the time to do it. And again, that look on John's face to me said, why are you doing it? Well, come on, man. This is silly. Just come over here. You could tell he wanted Kingston in the ring to have the face down like they were probably supposed to. Eddie didn't want it. Eddie is his own worst enemy. He would probably be the first one to say that.
Yes.
It would be a shame.
I won't disagree.
It'd be a shame for him to get his life right and get himself in a good position mentally, physically, chemically, and everything's fine, but then to screw it up by some stupid backstage politics. So I hope it doesn't go to that, but things like this that happen in other companies, and I'm not forecasting anything, kids. I'm just saying I hope it doesn't come to anything weird. There's a time and a place, and that was not the time for me.
Let's just hope that it was part of the story and there wasn't really anything going on there. Unless him refusing to stand in the ring with Claudio was an actual thing. I don't know. Was that a legit beef? Because I know they don't like each other, but I also know that they've worked with each other before. So.
And not for nothing, but he had all day to prep for this. It's not like they flew Claudio in and didn't tell anybody. And maybe they did. I don't know. But let's assume he knew. You had all day to get ready for this. You had all day to prep. You had all day to tell Tony you did or didn't want to. You had all day. Come on. So again, I don't know any of the facts. Maybe I'm dead wrong and he had zero time to prep. I don't know.
At the end of the day, you need to take your personal feelings, and this is assuming that this is what it was, okay?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to put any juju on somebody that is not actually going on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I'm going to say that. But if it is, then at the end of the day, you just need to realize that this is business. This is not a personal thing. You're not expected to invite this guy over for dinner. You're just supposed to do business with him. So just do your thing and move on. But we're going to hope that it's not all of that mess and that it was a planned thing, because you know, Eddie's our favorite on Peaches and Power Bombs, pretty much, and we want things to go well for him. So Eddie, don't get in your way, and don't get in ours either.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there's too much going for him, and you know, Brett and Sean at one point really didn't care for each other at all, but they never took shots in the ring at each other. They always kept it professional. They always, because guys know what it looks like when you don't, and that's the truth. No matter how you feel, they know if they take liberties in the ring, if they take cheap shots and go into business, it's not good for anybody either guy works after that. So, you know, and Eddie's not, what am I going to tell you what to do? Who am I? But like he's smart enough. He's been around long enough to know, keep it out of this. We can talk about it later. Wait till we get through the curtain. So.
Yeah. But, you know, like we said, we don't know. Maybe it's just them setting up something and just having a brief moment of showing that they're not on the same page, because they, you know, Moxley is buddying up with these other guys in the Blackpool Club and just kind of leaving like, Kingston's over here. I'm going to move on with my new little group, and you're over here.
Yeah, because they do have history together, so that is a good point, Tina.
Yeah, Eddie might be in story feeling like he's being left behind. So,
And I'm actually watching the show back as we say this, and I'm jumping back to Tana for just a second. But when Tana came down the ramp and slapped 5 with that kid, and the way that kid's face lit up, in Japan, they're still not allowing the wrestlers to make physical contact. They still can't bump fists. They can't do anything right now, and haven't been since COVID started. There was a match, I don't know how many months ago it's been, where this little girl came up to the ringside barrier and tried to touch Tana's hand. Any other time he's hugging people, Tana would take a towel like a rock star, wipe his sweat, and hand it back to the female fan, who in turn would cry like she was going to pass out. That's how much of a rock star he is, kids. This little girl comes up, tries to reach out, and he can't touch her. So he's doing this, and he's doing this at her and he stands back up to go back up the ramp, and he's in tears. Tanahashi has kids, and it broke his heart that he's like, I want to hug her, and he couldn't do it. So I'm sure hitting that kid's hand on Sunday meant the world to him. It's just little stuff you take from these shows.
Yeah.
So cool. I had to throw that out there.
That is so cute.
It is. It really is.
Good stuff. So, Tina, let me ask you.
Okay.
I'm going to reverse it here on you. Welcome to Tom Clark's main event powerbomb thing. Was this better than Double or Nothing?
Yes.
Why do you think that way? What made it better for you?
Well, it wasn't 9.5 hours long, for one.
Well, there's that.
The storytelling in the ring was better. It was easier to follow along. I think Double or Nothing just looked so rushed. I say that, and it was 9 hours long, but it just felt like, oh, wait, Double or Nothing is tomorrow. What are we going to do? Okay. And I don't know. And there's also this, too, is that Bleacher Report was not working for me during Double or Nothing, and I missed 90% of Eddie's match, so I was so salty and just, through the whole thing, I was upset that it wasn't working because it kept freezing on me every 20 seconds. And I didn't have any problems on Sunday, so there's that too. So I wasn't like upset through the whole thing. I don't know. It just seemed like a better put together show than Double or Nothing.
The pacing was better.
Yeah.
Sarah, what do you think? Was it better for you, or was Double or Nothing better?
I think this is better. Because Double or Nothing was a good show too. I think a lot of the criticism they get for the storytelling and the selling and stuff, I think a lot of people were I could see throughout the matches that they were aware of that. I seen like Keith Lee was one. There was more, and I drew a blank. But they focused on their selling a little more than a lot of them have been in recent months. I agree with Tina too about the storytelling. It's a lot of the little things. As far as New Japan, this is for those that didn't know what New Japan is. This was a great introduction for them. Could the build-up been better? Yes. But, this goes to show you, don't judge a book by its cover, because we all saw the pay-per-view, and those that watched it and loved it, you already know. So, I think Tony Khan already commented that it was a hit, and they're definitely going to do another one, but we don't know when. So I like seeing, we're used to seeing the U.S. talent or Europe talent going over to Japan and seeing them over there. And it was kind of like New Japan's turn to come here and show everybody what they can do. So,
And we let this whole show go by without giving a shout out to Kevin Kelly, who was fantastic, who has been doing a
yes,
brilliant job for New Japan. And no disrespect to the AEW crew, but he was a breath of fresh air, folks, for me. Like, Excalibur has his thing, Taz has his place, JR has his place. But Kevin Kelly is...
boy,
I mean,
Kevin
if anything ever
Kelly really, you
Yeah.
know, he caught you up on everything as far as New Japan goes.
He's so smart, and he's very clever, and he's business smart. He knows how to call a match. He knows what he's doing. He added to the show.
Yeah, he
really
did.
did.
He really did.
Yeah, because he was, you know, he was given background history on these guys and stuff too, and that helps you understand them better. Those that, you know, didn't know some of these guys. So very well done by Kevin Kelly for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we go, no one got on the boo list tonight, but I have to play it
Man.
anyway. I have to play it anyway just because it's us.
Fight me! Fight me! Fight me! Fight me! Fight me! Don't fight me!
It wouldn't be Peaches and Power Bombs without it.
That was
There you
in
go.
honor. That was in honor of Alex,
Yep.
because that's how I felt since Sunday. Oh,
What do you
gosh.
mean that wasn't a good match?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We put his podcast chops to use. We got a long way to go.
All right. It was a good show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Tom, for joining us.
Yes, thank
I
you.
will be gone for a little while. My surgery is Thursday. So I will be on the shelf, I guess you would say. On the
Right.
injured list. Just add me to it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, we're taking things day by day as far as that goes. And obviously with the 4th, right after, there won't be a show next week, but the week after, I don't know if it'll be Tuesday or Thursday just yet, but we will definitely do one the week after. And well, whether Tina's with me or not, I don't know, but
Yeah,
but
I don't
at
know
least
how
for
I'm-
a week or so we won't be on. So
All right, Tom, you have anything to plug?
Always. Are you kidding? Tom Clark's Main Event on all the podcasts, popular podcasts of your choice. Also, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, which is the geek culture / pop culture pod. Appreciate you guys always tuning in and watching. Thank you both for having me on again. Tina, I hope everything goes well with you.
Thank you.
And I'm more than willing to be a substitute Peach whenever called upon. I will try to make that happen. So
I appreciate
Yes.
that very much.
as
No
always,
problem.
we thank you for everything that you do for us. All the work that you do, very, very much appreciated. Well loved.
And I see everybody's get well wishes in the comments. I'm not going to take up much more time and bring them all up. I just wanted to go ahead and just say thank you to our listeners for that. I appreciate that very much. All right, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. As always, like, share,
Subscribe.
Go over to our YouTube channel. One day we will revive that thing and put up more content. I just have to get better. Okay. So just be a little patient with me. It's been a long road. So as soon as I'm feeling better, we'll start putting up more content up there and getting that more active again. But I appreciate you all being very patient with us. But tell your friends about us, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.